What's up, guys? It's your boy James, aka 68J, coming to you on this amazing Thursday evening. And guess who I'm with? My sister, the myth, the legendary GramGlam's in the house. How you doing, sis?
I'm doing great. How are you, Jay?
I'm doing amazing. The reason I got to say, the amazing GramGlam is because everyone may recognize you or may not, right? But I think they will. Obviously, your hair's a little different today. But from that amazing, exactly. So, but from that amazing interview that you've done with XRP Unleashed with Fruition Productions, I'm just so excited and proud as a big bro, seeing what you've done and seeing how far you've come. They talk so highly of you, and you're one of the stars of Ladies Night as well. So, if you don't mind, let's before we do anything else, let's go into what you got out of XRP Las Vegas 2024. We were there. We were hanging out. We were on a party bus. You got to hang out with my wife. Talk about that amazing experience from start to finish, if you don't mind.
First of all, your wife is a delightful woman. Like, we had so much fun.
Thank you.
It was great getting to know her. She hadn't joined us for Ladies Night. So, like, going to Vegas, I was just like, I want to meet Jay's wife. Like, she's in the comments. She's encouraged me, so it was so much fun to meet.
Thank you. She's amazing.
Her and you in person.
Thank you.
We were at Melissa Free the World's party whenever we first met. And so she had a great party, and that was so much fun. And I met so many people there. And so I was expecting to meet my friend Echo and Rico were both late. And so like I walked in, I'm like, I know no one. But and then you walked in, I was just like, Jay.
Yeah.
It was like seeing, a family member.
I think the thing that was so funny, Graham, is when I walked in, everybody goes, oh, you really are 6'8". I'm like, yeah. It's not just a name. Yeah, that was funny.
You're extremely tall.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It was so much fun. And so, man, I'm going to talk a lot more about Vegas, like in my talk, because it comes full circle, which is really strange because I've been listening to a lot of people who are at Vegas for years, and a lot of them have been my like unofficial mentors and like people in my ear for like, we're talking like 7 years now.
Wow.
A lot of my education, like I am universal, like I do have a degree. Okay. I have a bachelor's degree in business and a minor in international relations.
Wow.
And so it kind of, my journey starts kind of from my undergrad in business, and I'll go into that. But really a lot of my education has come from these other voices that were at XRP Las Vegas. And in a major way, in a way that it shifted me and my family's entire life and our overview of the world and what's happening. Okay. And the decisions that we've made as like what we're going to do to counter it. And so it's interesting because I went to Las Vegas, XRP Las Vegas last year, and it was fabulous. But this year, like, topped it all. First of all, I'm a coffee snob, and that coffee was amazing. Like, I'm so much of a coffee snob. I kid you not. I packed a hot pot with my own coffee.
Wow, that's funny.
Just to be prepared for horrible coffee.
Wow.
But the coffee was amazing, and I just the DAI, he was like kind of like co-host. I just found out like sponsored that. So like as a coffee snob, like I thank him. It was so good because I didn't have to lug around a mug. So yeah.
That's awesome.
But and besides the coffee, people like Lynette Zhang were there, and Andy Shankman, and the Glint CEO, and I know the CTO of Ripple was there. I got to meet him. So like it was, for me, like this was like a Taylor Swift concert. So yeah.
That's awesome. Now, while you were there, because I know you, I'm really excited about some of the stuff that you're getting ready to talk about. What were some of your takeaways in regards to one? Did you learn anything new? Two, was there anything that stood out in regard to anything that you heard? And three, who were some of the people that you want to meet there that you actually met?
Okay, so of course, like I wanted to meet the OG of crypto, which is David Schwartz.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a picture with him, which was just like that's amazing, because that was like kind of like, man, I really want to meet him.
Right.
Of course, I'm in the blockchain crypto community. And I would be at XRP Las Vegas regardless.
Right.
But honestly, it was Lynette Zhang and Andy Shakeman who were there. And then the panel with the Glint Pay, Jason, he brought fire last time at XRP Las Vegas, but he brought like that panel of Jason, Lynette, and Andy. That was incredible to me. In fact, like I feel really bad for Jason, the Glint Pay guy, because after that I was so hyped. I was like, hey man, like that was awesome. And like because I get really excited about this because I'm a gold and monetary like historian junkie. Like hearing and Lynette and Andy have been in my ear for the past, I don't know how long that they've been on YouTube, but they've been, I couldn't really do the math. I didn't do the math, but years.
Right.
These people have been in my ear and influenced my life.
Nice.
So that panel to me gave me so much hope for the future, that these very high, and I think that we're more of a movement.
Right.
And it's very interesting that because my two worlds collided with XRP and this monetary history system that I've been learning for the past decade.
Right.
So my story, like who I am, like I think a lot of people, they're confused when they meet me, to be quite honest, because I'm a stay-at-home mom. I run a homestead farm. But my nerdy passion is monetary everything.
Right.
Because money is changing.
That's right.
And money touches everything. And so this has been I did the math for this one. It's literally been about a decade or more in the making.
Okay.
And when I trace it back, I go back to my undergrad at university, and it was 2008 or 9. I don't remember which semester, but I remember sitting in my economics class. And at the time, my economics professor was the treasurer of Oklahoma, which is where I'm from. So he was the treasurer of Oklahoma. And of course, we are going through like a ton of peril, because this is when the Great Recession was in full effect. And I just got done reading the book. I just got done reading Adam Smith, which is an economic philosopher, I guess, like economist.
Right.
And he asked the question. So I just got done reading Adam Smith about free markets and capitalism and how capitalism works in free markets. And I traced it back today to this like one little instance in class. And he had the class say, raise your hand if you think that we should bail out the banks. And the entire class raised their hand.
Wow.
Except for me. And I'm like, did no one else do the reading?
Right.
Like, did you not read? Like,
right.
No, these banks took on way too much risk. I can go back to Glass-Steagall where it originally, and so my background is in banking.
Okay.
Like at this point, I had been in banking. I'd been a teller, but I've done like some research, and then I'm in university, right?
Okay.
And so I'm the only one that raises my hand that says we should not bail out these banks. Like Adam Smith, laissez-faire, like this is capitalism. You made bad decision. You're bad business. You need to fail.
Right.
And my professor said, I don't think that that's correct, because if they fail, then like everything falls. But that is the point of capitalism. You get rid of the junk.
Right.
The inappropriate business making, the bad actors. You don't protect them. And
Right.
you also don't print money to save them.
Right.
And so that is what really took me down what is actually going on.
That's right.
And so that was back in 2008, 2009.
Okay.
And it's been a journey since then. And so Lynette Zhang is one of the people that has been in my ear for the longest.
Yeah, she's amazing.
And so she's amazing. She's amazing. And so she would bring up concepts and like this chart. And I would start doing research and I would start digging deeper. And I listened to Andy. He's very similar.
Right.
And so I started reading also Ray Dalio. Mm-hmm. I'm also going to give a bunch of references of kind of like who to read to kind of understand where a bunch of us come from.
Right.
So I'm an avid like researcher and reader. So I've read Adam Smith. I've listened to Lynette Zhang. I've listened to Ray Dalio. I've read his books.
Right.
So then I had this whole education about the monetary system. I really studied like how the global economic system works. I studied how money and banking, like there's a phrase that says all wars are banking wars.
Right.
And I really dug into what that phrase actually meant. And it's so true. So then so Lynette Zhang is a lot about the fiat currency system is collapsing. Mm-hmm. And in 2008, I'll quote her, 2008, the system died.
Right.
And ever since then, it's very fascinating that Bitcoin was introduced in 2009. Mm-hmm. And if you read the white paper and about why, what this is with money, you go,
That's right.
And so it's my opinion that over a decade, they have been designing this brand new money system.
Right.
And I'll tell you what confirmed this for me. It was actually, so one of my friends, my husband's roommate works at a treasurer and banking.
Okay.
We're all hanging out one night and he says, I'm mining Ethereum. And I've heard of crypto and I've heard of Bitcoin. And I'm like, okay, so I know money, I know currency, I know this stuff. But I have a very strict rule.
Right.
And this is a rule that I hope a lot of people adopt.
Okay.
It's do not criticize until you explore the other person's side.
I like that.
Do not criticize until you can argue their point just as well as they can.
Right.
And so he's saying, I'm mining Ethereum. And my first like human thought is, that's a scam. That's, like crypto. Right. It's internet money.
Right.
But I have this philosophy. Do not criticize unless you know.
Right.
So I said, okay, I'm going to research this. I'm going to give it a fair shake. And so within this research, I found a ton of pump and dumps. We have this whole meme coin. The crypto industry is like Las Vegas right now. It's unregulated.
Right.
I know it's coming into regulation, but there's all these meme coins and that's the story. So much so that when I went into let me get back to my research. Okay. So I start to study crypto and I'm finding all these pump and dumps. I'm like, this is all a scam. And then Rosie Rios, who's on the board at Ripple, I listened to an interview that she was giving.
Right.
And she said that this is the future of money and money is changing. And I said, sister, that is a very big statement to make because as a former treasurer under the Obama administration, I know that you know what, like everything that goes into what makes money and our currency system. So for her to say something like this is huge.
That's right.
Again, before I just like passed her off, I said, and I think that this is also another thing for people who are getting into the crypto space.
Okay.
And just in life general, the quality of your life and the quality of your education and knowledge is going to come down to the questions that you ask. So the question that I asked Rosie Rios in my head is, what does she mean by that?
Right.
So then I really started to unpack what she meant by money is changing.
Right.
And money actually has the reason why we have the monetary system, the reason why we have banks, the reason why we have central banks, the reason why we have fiat currency. This all comes down to something called, it's the friction of money. And what blockchain solves is many frictions to money. So like Lynette Zhang talks a lot about gold.
Right.
And there's a historical reason as to why gold couldn't be a historical means of money.
Right.
I hate to say money because gold is money. What we have now is currency.
Right. Like earth money.
So let me get my definitions correct. So what we have right now is currency.
Right.
And because it's changing. We have a fiat currency system.
Right.
Which, in my opinion, it's a debt-based system.
Right.
It's the root of all evil.
Yeah.
So the reason why gold couldn't be a good exchange of money is because of this friction. It's heavy. It takes a lot for an exchange, like how much gold to a cow, to the barter system. There's a reason why the barter system doesn't work well with money. It's because, like, I have apples, you have oranges. What's the exchange between those two? Okay. So blockchain, through tokenization, through all of this like techie stuff that I've learned, solves the friction of money. Hence how I came across XRP. And then we have like this whole like the United States is the world reserve currency, right?
Right.
And there's a lot that plays into why a world reserve currency is a world reserve currency. There's a whole thing called the Triffin dilemma. So I know all about that. So whenever I'm analyzing this and I'm looking at this crypto world, and one of the books too, here's another book to put down on a list.
Okay.
That like set me off, is The Creature from Jekyll Island.
Oh, I don't mean to cut you off, but you got a shout out from Mikkel. He said, "Take me back to Vegas. Miss you both. We miss you too, Mikkel." That's our shout out to both of us.
It was so much fun on that side.
Absolutely. I didn't know he had
he's a blast.
Oh man, that guy, him and his better half and Zach and his girlfriend. I mean, all you guys are amazing. Yeah. Mikkel has an amazing personality for sure. Shouts out to my brother. Yeah. Yes,
we had so much fun. Where was I?
You were talking about I got lost with Mikkel.
No, that's fine. So I guess to bring it all back, money is changing.
Right.
And so whenever I came across XRP, I was just like, oh, this is Jekyll Island.
Jekyll, there you go.
People listen to people like me because they come from a different background. They might have come upon XRP because they're a person who's building the tech on it. There's a lot of these different sides that the other side kind of calls crazy. Right. But if you know monetary history, if you know money, if you know what this technical revolution actually means, it don't sound actually crazy. So I came across like XRP. And I'm like, they're building a brand new financial system.
Yeah.
And so there's a big debate. Is it going to be gold? Is it going to be crypto? And I'm sitting here going, it's going to be both.
Yeah.
Because now gold can be tokenized. And now all of these commodities can be tokenized. And now it doesn't matter what blockchain it's really built on. Because of interoperability, which is a really big term and definition for the crypto world.
Right.
And so, but then this also falls into geopolitical issues, because I talked about the reserve currency, and the reserve currency is one of the major underpinnings as to why America has the power that it has. And so through this, I'm like, and also with Ray Dalio. So I've read his cycle, like I've read his, I've read so many of his works, but he also has like videos and stuff you can listen to. And he has this amazing video that I encourage everyone to go and look at. It's called like the cycles of basically like civilization. So every civilization results to money printing and fiat currency, and it ends up being their downfall. And then the events that take place around that downfall is what gets blamed. So it gets blamed for war. And so I have all this knowledge from Lynette Zhang and Andy Shankman and Ray Dalio's analysis. So it's these layers. So once I layer like all of this knowledge and then I layer cycles on top of it, I learned that monetary history has cycles. Yeah. Actually, everything within an ecosystem actually has cycles.
That's true.
Strangely enough, and true. Humans, the solar system, everything.
That's right.
Have these cycles. The monetary system has these cycles. What I found fascinating in layering all this education is that World War II was one of these cycles. It was an end of a fiat Weimar Republic was going, like inflation was running rampant. They were blaming this group of people.
Right.
We had World War II. And then after World War II, we had Bretton Woods, which after World War II, America came out kind of the least indebted of the, we had the European nations who just come out of World War II. We came in at the very end. Oddly enough, like that is kind of Bretton Woods is what set us up to be the dominant power that we are now. But we get to 1971. And of course, as all governments do, we've overextended ourselves. Yep. And France comes and asks for their gold. And we're like, and then Nixon, 1971, takes us off the gold standard.
Yep.
Off of a temporary executive order overnight. And from 1971 and onward, our money is what is called fiat. It's absolutely fake. It's printed out of nothing.
Yep.
And if you're a chart person, go look at the chart and see how much that has devalued you. Yeah. So it's all this education that's happened. Lynette talks about this fiat currency system is coming to an end.
Yeah.
So to kind of take, and also to layer Ray Dalio. So Ray Dalio also talks about cycles.
Right.
So every 80 to 90 years, we have a new monetary system, or not a monetary system, a reset in the global monetary system.
Right.
Okay. And that's what World War II was. That's what Bretton Woods was. It was an actual reset. So I get blamed of being conspiracy theorist because I talk about reset when it's actually very historical.
Right.
Very interesting. So that was in the 1940s. 1971, there's another cycle that happens. There's a monetary cycle every 30 to 40 years. We get a brand new monetary cycle. And that is what happened in 1971 when Nixon took us off the gold standard and created this fake money.
Right.
Oddly enough, now in 2024, we are feeling inflation because of what happened in 1971. Guess how many years that was? Like 40 years. So we are actually converging on multiple cycles. We're converging upon an 80 to 90 year cycle and a 30 to 40 year cycle. So I found XRP and started investigating these payment rails and how money's changing and the BRIC system. And I'm watching them close and I'm like, here we go. And so 2.5 years ago, which is when, and so people are like, where did you come from? I've been in TikTok world. I just lost my account. So any
Wow.
account that you find on TikTok of me is a fake account, just so you
Wow.
know.
Okay.
So I started trying to make this like, I see what's coming, because I see this is the fiat currency system is dying. This is another one of these times of life. So I started trying to, and I thought that like I could help like educating people in like a TikTok way. Like one of my videos, I dress up as Wednesday Addams.
Okay.
And like the title is Conspiracy Theories Really Do Come True. And I talk about Jekyll Island and all of that. So I'm
Okay.
thinking like, okay, we're about to go through one of these resets. And this like CBDCs, I talk a lot about central bank digital currencies. I talk
Okay.
about how money's changing, how programmable money can control us. And so I'm making videos and education about that. But XRP plays into this.
Right.
Because they're going to me, I'm making a bet. And that's kind of what I'll just speak for me.
Okay.
For me, what I see is the monetary system is changing and it's going digital. The entire world is being uploaded to a digital system. It's going from analog and it's going digital. So
Right.
it's not going to be gold or crypto. It's going to be gold is going to be tokenized onto a blockchain and utilized through yada, yada, yada. So there's all these payment rails. And so I've kind of mapped all of that out. So
Gotcha.
what I am doing right now is I am putting through my research, like I'm putting my bets in. I'm like, okay, I think XRP is going to take a big market share of cross-border payments. I think that XDC is going to take a big share of trade finance. I think that, so all of these, I am betting very, very skeptical, right? Like this is very speculatory, to use a term. This is my speculatory bag.
Okay.
And that's important too, because Lynette Zane also talks about like, you need food, you need gold, and this coming like inflation and hyperinflation and monetary reset. We're going to need to be there as a people. So I started 5 years ago in 2018. We started a homestead.
Okay.
So that's kind of what I do in my free time. I own a farm. I have cows, goats. I used to have pigs. They're in my freezer right now.
Oh, wow.
Like we raise our own like meat and beef and trees. So we have kind of a we're building a self-sustainable homestead.
Gotcha.
That takes a while.
Okay.
And so that's where like I really like hone in on Lynette Zhang's message.
Right.
Because I know we're coming up on very, very hard times.
Yep.
And in these hard times, I want to be a blessing. So I started that in 2008. I had no idea that in 2020 we would have a pandemic. And that in 2020 through 2022, or I don't know the exact dates, between 2021 and 2022, 40% of all of money that has ever been printed, 40%.
Wow.
Was printed within those few years. And what's funny is I'm sitting at a dinner table and we're talking about this, all of this stimulus and my sister-in-law, who's an elementary school teacher, is like, doesn't that mean like inflation's going to come later? And I'm sitting there going, yeah. And this I come from a banking family as well. And so another person who is really into modern monetary theory was like, no, I'm like skirting around the issue. And I'm like,
right.
The elementary school teacher has it right.
Yeah, exactly.
And all of the economists at the they were all saying like this inflation, it's, Yellen was saying it's transitory. And I'm sitting there going, like, you guys are either lying or like you need to be fired because you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Exactly.
So here we are in 2024 dealing with inflation, dealing with money printing, dealing with an escalating world.
Right.
Possible war. Like as we look at the stage that's being set up, we're looking at currency collapse. We're looking at possible world war. all of these things happen around these cycles. And so since I came across XRP in 2021, so since then, I've been like, okay. So that's why I started my channel. It's like, I think I know what's going to come from this.
Right.
And in my research, in my study, I started to kind of like think and theorize. Okay, so if this is going to reset, how is it going to reset? Like,
right.
What is it going to look like? So I had everything from like a conspiracy theory of everything going digital, currency collapse, world war, like the worst case scenarios you can think of leading up to it. Versus like the other end of the spectrum, I had like, okay, there's this new technology. It's going to, kind of revolutionize technology. It's going to be adopted. It's going to. So for 2.5 years, I said, I'm going to make content and I'm just going to track like how right or wrong I am.
Right.
Just to see. And in the 2.5 years, let's just say I haven't gotten more wrong. I was getting made fun of and called doom and gloomer because I'm like, look, like war's gonna escalate. Right. Like, get your food ready, get preparation, create community. Right. And they're like, you're fear mongering. You are,
Right, right.
And I'm just like, no, I'm trying to edge. Like, this is
people fear
how the world works.
People fear what they fear what they don't understand. That's what it is. And
and they call names and they think you're crazy. And I'm just like, just for a minute.
But the information's out there to connect the dots. Just most people don't take the time to do that. Yeah.
They don't. Yeah. And I do.
Right.
And I just have this nerdy obsession.
Yeah, no, and I know there's a lot of people here that are on point with you. They agree with you. They love your mindset. I can see the comments that are coming in right now. They're definitely agreeing. And it's funny because a lot of people, I think a lot of people want to know the truth. They just sometimes I think they're scared to know the truth. It's like they want to know. But, yeah, it is.
Right. Like, so it's scary. And that's a big conundrum. And I talk about it a lot because I talk a lot about big, scary things and about change and transition, which is what we're in. Oddly enough, historically, if you look, that is your best time to create wealth.
Yeah.
If you're on the right side of the trade.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think about my investments and I'm not all into crypto. I'm not all in. So I think about investment into buckets.
Right.
I think about these buckets. I think about, I have, my husband has this 401k. We contribute the max to that. We get the match. We get everything that my my degree teaches me, right? Like, do all of these things, cover your bases. We do all of that. Now I have kind of like my homestead. I have my pardon my French, but it's a technical term. If the shit hits the fan, I also have my homestead, which is also a form of wealth, which is actually, I started in 2018. Who knew that it would be such a great hedge of inflation?
Right.
Like, it's been a huge hedge for my family. Like, we grow meat, eggs, like those are all inflating. And I'm going steak again tonight.
Right.
Because I have a ton of meat in my freezer. Who knew that by Lynette Zhang preparing me and motivating me to create this farm and she said, all of this is coming. That would be a great hedge against inflation.
Right.
And she also talks about community. And so within this experience, I've been able to give a lot of the stuff that I grow. So I gave eggs to a mom one time and she started tearing up because she just had that much more wiggle room in her budget. Like that's like the snack pack that it might be like a few dollars, but like if you're penny pinching and your kid wants that like one snack and you're like, we can't really afford it, it adds up fast, right? And so like she had this like, it's eggs. And so like that to me, that's where it really became full circle. We are already in this transition. We are already feeling the pain. We are already feeling inflation.
Right.
And I have prepared. I have hedged. I can be a blessing. We need to get this message out.
Right.
We need to come together as a community. We need to help each other. We need to combat an ever far-reaching tyrannical government. We need to know monetary history. We need to know where we're at to know where we're going. And so that's why, like, whenever I had like the Glint CEO, Jason, and Andy Scheckman up there, and Lynette Zhang, I was like, this is my Super Bowl. I had never had so much hope. And I feel so bad because like after like that interview, I was like pumped and like 2 wine glasses in. And I like ran up to like the Glint CEO. I was like, that's amazing. You brought fire. You and Lynette Zhang. Like, to me, this was like, okay, people are getting it. And we're in XRP Las Vegas, and it's not like a glorified, and I think that speaks volumes to who Brad Kynes and the hosts brought in.
Right.
Because my worlds were colliding.
Right.
You know, I'm seeing like Lynette Zhang, who doesn't even buy crypto, talk to her crypto people who I've been listening to for years. And it's because of her and all of this knowledge that I knew the effect that like XRP is going to have on the system. So I had to know, you know, a decade worth of research and listening to these mentors and reading and studying. So then whenever I came across XRP, I go, whoa, this is the biggest thing I've ever seen.
It just makes sense. Yeah.
And so I'm like going around, I'm a stay-at-home mom, I'm a homesteader. But I have family that's in the banking world, that's in the personal finance world and investment world and lawyers and all these people that I go, hey, I've done all that. Like, look at what's happened. Look, they hear crypto though, like in my real life, and they do this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That happens to a lot of us.
Yeah. And it drove me, it was so much so, it drove me crazy. No one was listening to me. And I was just like, I got to find, and I'm not a software engineer. I don't know, and this deals with like software and tech and blockchain. I come from a monetary side.
Right. And, so that's the part. And that's the part. I don't want to cut you off. That's the part. Like I saw World Be Free. So we have some of the smartest people in the space referring to you. And she's been giving you a lot of credit here in the chat. And I think I was telling some people at XRP Las Vegas here this past weekend, I said, that's why I started on this journey with this show, is instead of me trying to know everything, what if I just went out and found people who knew a little bit of different things and brought it all together. What it is, even hearing your perspective, is validation. Your banking background, your education, the due diligence that you've done. It's just validation to why you made that decision. You didn't just jump in and say, "Oh my God, XRP is sexy and shiny." No, you went
and
in.
I'm a fangirl. Yeah,
exactly.
No, this was like years in the making.
Right. And I love talking to people like yourself, Jake Claver, Mikkel, people who just really get it. And then you can go from a legal perspective, like Fred Rispoli or Metal Law Man. I mean, just all these different various backgrounds, and you see that everyone's focused on this one thing that I keep saying is going to be the greatest story or the biggest regret, because people are so caught up chasing everything. And don't get me wrong, it's not the only thing. There's some great assets. I'm very well diversified, but you got to wonder, you got to ask yourself at the end of the day, if you just took a moment to stand back and go, why did they go after Ripple and XRP? Just why? Out of all the assets they could have went after, why that one? And there's a reason why. And the digger you deep, the more clear it gets. And that's what it is that I've been, for sure.
It does. It paints a picture for you. You just have to do the research. A person who I would follow would be Crypto Miles. Whenever, because there's a lot that goes on. Whenever I'm like getting lazy on my research, I know I can like tune in to certain people and they can kind of like catch me up, because they have a similar like.
And you have to excuse me. I'm sneezing like crazy. So if you see me go out, it's because I'm sneezing. But you keep going. Keep going.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Bless you.
Thank you.
So yeah, it's this really, so like people at Vegas, it was really funny because they're like, what do you do? Right. And I'm like, my best.
Right. But people
I
have
do
to
my
know that
best.
people have to know there's some value there because, you know, Chris and Maya with XRP Unleashed or with Fruition Productions, they really handpicked some of the most brilliant people in the space. Now, I'm not saying there's other people that can't be in that document. Matter of fact, I just connected them with Linda P. Jones. They saw that we had a connection.
I love Linda P. That's
Yeah,
another one I've listened to for years. Like I
yeah,
saw her.
yeah, so she's coming on tomorrow with Ladies Night with yourself, and but they wanted to have her on the documentary just to kind of get you to understand how big of a deal she is. So when you look at someone like that, best-selling author, worth tens of millions of dollars, brilliant mindset, and then you look at the people that they're bringing on, it just really goes to show you how incredible of an opportunity this is and why they focused on the asset and the story that they did. I think it's the biggest story in all the space for sure.
It really is. Linda P. Jones is also one that I've listened to for a while. And so I've been listening to her podcast. And so when she came, like that validation, right? It's like whenever you've been listening to someone like Linda P. Jones for so long, and then she's talking about it on your podcast, and a lot of us have a lot of this same like background information that we're trying to, communicate to our audience, and why, so yes. So it's like when you hear people like Linda P. Jones, I come from I'm third generation oil. You have Jimmy Valley, that was whenever I was in my first, like someone like this is like, yeah, this is this, and I was just like, okay, not, and I guess like, this is a big journey for me. I'm putting myself out there. People in my real life really, I'm trying to educate them. I'm a stay-at-home mom. Why would people, right? Like listen to me without, knowing that I have this like nerdy obsession. They should, the bankers in my life, the financial, advisors in my life, they should theoretically know more than me, right? But they just won't listen. And so that's why I started my channel. I really wanted to get into and meet people and have these type of discussions about what this all means, where the future is going, what's ahead of us, how can we help, how can we create community, how can we get rich?
Right. Now, I want to say this as well. Obviously, we talked a little bit. My wife wasn't here, but we talked a little bit about meeting you. You and my wife hit it off. You guys were hanging out, and we just had a blast. I know early on, as I met you, there were some things that you were dealing with, and some things that you had to overcome. And I can see that definitely that you've done that. And when you reached out to me and said, "Jay, look, I'm a small fish," I said, "No, don't do that, because you need to give yourself more credit." But you said, "I want to come out here and say some things." And I said, "Okay, this is going to be GramGlam Unleashed here." So definitely appreciate you and proud of the fact that you're stepping up and wanted to speak and have your voice heard. And just definitely kind of take us on the journey of what you had to endure in order to do some of the things that you had to do to be at the forefront. Because I know there's some times where you're like, "Hey, I don't know if I can do this, and I don't know if I'll be back on," because there's some things that you had to endure, but you got through it. You've been getting some incredible support from those in the space. Definitely talk about that. Thank you so much, sweetheart. Yeah, poor hubby is struggling, but you know what? I'm gonna be okay, because GramGlam's got this, and every now and then I just might black out so I can sneeze.
You're fine. Yeah. So there's a lot of animosity, and I get accused of a lot of things, of fear mongering, of shilling, of and I talk a lot about XRP, but I talk a lot about this is going to be a multi-chain world. So I really don't understand why there's so much like tribalism and hate. And I'm like, where are the, what I want to encourage people to do is whoever they are listening to, you don't have to trust them.
Right.
But you also don't have to shut them off.
That's right.
I like to automatically assume that someone else knows more than I do. Maybe they do, maybe they don't.
Right.
And listen to it, and be very careful about calling names, attributing people, like putting them in a group, because all of us are doing our best.
Right.
All of us are making our bets. All of us are putting our money where we think it's going to grow the most. So have those discussions, have those debates, but my goodness, be kind.
That's right.
My goodness.
Yeah.
So that is probably also another big message of mine is have an open mind. Stop shutting people off and down.
Right.
Like if you don't agree with them, move on.
And I want to add something to that, because it's okay to walk away. And I say that because I was having a conversation with someone not too long ago. I don't know who it was, but we were talking about social media and just the true amazing opportunity that it gives us to do what we're doing now. The fact that we can go live, we've got almost 600 people here live on X and YouTube. It's amazing, right? And people can tune in and get different perspectives. The unfortunate part about social media or this platform or crypto, whatever, is that, it's anybody can do it. And, the greatest thing about it is anybody can do it. And the worst thing about it is anybody can do it. And I don't know if I was talking to my wife or someone, but I was saying that a lot of people that you see, and I won't say a lot of people, some of these people that I see that I don't necessarily agree with, or I feel like they're shilling, or they, I kind of question the ethics or whatever it is. Some of these people you're talking about, I wouldn't do business with these people in my regular life. So it's okay to say, you know what, I'm not going to get in that X live, or I'm not going to get in that whatever that space or whatever, to avoid some of that negativity, because honestly, I wouldn't interact with those people in my real life anyway. So we have to make sure that we have boundaries up and protect ourselves, because if not, then you allow yourselves to be part of all that craziness. And there's a lot of it I didn't know about, because trust me, for whatever reason, I don't get a lot of that. But when I start hearing it from you guys and from Optimistic Prime and many others like Maya, I was like, wow, this kind of stuff really exists. Like there's literally internet bullies. It's crazy. But yeah.
So there's so many more high level conversations to have. There's so many more things to talk about, to debate, than talk about people.
That's right.
Or to talk about it, like, let's be adults.
Yep.
High school was, for many of us, decades ago.
Right.
We're all trying to do our best. A lot of us as humans, we're all fallible. Like, come on. Like, let's stop. Let's come together. Like, you don't have to agree with everyone 100%, but man, like, and it's an election year. There's so much division, and a lot of that attributes to our monetary system, and like the rich are the evil one. There's all these finger pointing, when really we should be focusing on the actual evil, which is the monetary system, which creates a lot of this divide. So the reason why we're feeling inflation is because they're devaluing your dollar.
Yeah.
The reason why the poor is saying F the rich is because assets are inflating. Right. Now, the poor don't necessarily own assets. They own liabilities. They're in debt. The middle income, like people around 30 to 40, like their debt is going out. The level of debt that they have is growing significantly.
Right.
While the net worth of the super rich is growing. And so you have to, again, the quality of your questions should be why, instead of pointing fingers. Right. People want to point to the Republicans. People want to point to the Democrats. People want to point. Guess what? It is both of them, because they're, people use the eagle term. I'll use a butt. It's the right cheek and the left cheek. It's the same ass.
Right. That's right.
They're all in this evil, debt-based monetary system ran by Fed and central banks, which central banking was actually unconstitutional up until 1913. Conveniently, they had a meeting on Jekyll Island in 1910, and then we had Titanic sink with a bunch of people who were anti-central banks. You can say that's conspiracy or not, I don't care. That changed the course of history because people who were anti-central bank went down with that ship. the people who were pro central bank
Right.
caught a cold and missed it. JP
Yeah.
Morgan.
Right.
Oddly
That's funny.
enough, JP Morgan's still kicking it these
Right.
days and buying up all these failing banks' debt.
Right.
So you take that, like, JP Morgan's sitting really proud. Well, other, like our founding fathers, like Thomas Jefferson, who warned us what would happen if we created these central banks. I made in my Wednesday video that I dressed up as, I quote Thomas Jefferson. He said, if central banks were to ever like come into America, because they made it unconstitutional, they said gold and silver should only be the legal tender. If banks were to come in, I fear that corporations and banks would grow up so much that the land that our children were born on, they will not be able to afford.
Right. Yeah.
Does that sound familiar to anyone? Are you having a hard time affording a house right now? Are you having a hard time affording food? Are you having a hard... This is what our founding fathers warned us against. What you are feeling, what I am feeling, what these inflated prices, this is exactly what our founding fathers meant. This is exactly why they made central banking unconstitutional. This is very interesting why in 1913 Woodrow Wilson amended the Constitution to allow for central banks.
Yeah. Now I like what you said earlier when you were talking about chaos and confusion and all the things that's going on and how the opportunity lies within. And that's so true.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at all the chaos that's been going on, all the what was with us, the SEC, the U.S. government, there's talks of war, there's this and all this chaos. Most people are trying to figure out where to run to, and they missed the opportunity. And then when everything kind of clears, you see that there was an agenda the whole time, that the rich just got richer, and everyone's scratching their head going, "What the hell's going on?" So I mean, yeah, I definitely I think this is the greatest moment to understand that. And I want you to talk a little bit more about recognizing that opportunity, if you will.
So it's an opportunity. So let's talk about gold for a little bit, because I was talking a lot about by Lynette Zhang and Andy and Glenn. So gold isn't necessarily something that you get into to become wealthy. Gold is something you get into to preserve your wealth in a devaluing fiat currency system. Okay. So gold is fabulous. Now, do I own gold? I have not gone into gold. I have some silver, because silver and gold, they're precious metals, different, like some have more utility than other. Historically, though, you seem to be safe.
Right.
I personally think, not financial advice, that silver has more ROI, like return on investment, than gold. Yeah. But both, like if you're going to preserve your wealth in an inflationary and devaluing currency, both great.
Yeah.
So like there's only so much I can do. So a lot of my fiat currency, like I go into like my farm. I don't hold gold. I hold some silver, but like in the shit hits the fan type of scenario, I have my farm. Like someone has gold, I'll gladly exchange it for eggs. Right. That's kind of, so I turn more of my extra fiat currency. I turn it more into these cryptocurrencies that I've researched and investigated, and kind of, that's my pool. I talked about buckets, my investment buckets. I have my homestead, 401k. Risky, extremely risky, right? So this is a gamble. I'm saying this is kind of like the revolution of the internet. This is the next phase of the internet. Right. The adoption curve is pretty similar, but it's equivalent of us saying like, what's the next Amazon? What's the next Google? That's what I'm trying to pick. Right. Very hard to pick, right? But that's my risk pool, right? So this is amount of money. Listen, like my crypto bucket of money is the bucket that if it goes to zero, I'm fine. Like I'm not betting the farm on it. I'm fine. But if it does what I think it possibly is going to do, it's going to change my life. So either way, I'm good. I love my life. I love my farm. I'm happy. Yay. None of this happens. Everything's hunky dory. I'm still good. Now, everything that I'm speculating, right? And I said I created 4 different theories. You want to know what's tracking the most?
What's that?
The most conspiratorial theory.
Wow. Wow.
It's like the most like, if this is happening and I'm the most conspiratorial, like this is all, then XYZ has to happen. You know, I'm making these predictions. And I tell my audience that if I was getting more wrong, I would abandon that theory. Guess what? I haven't gotten more wrong. And that's the scary thing, right? Because we're talking about currency collapse. We're talking about war. We're talking about digital, like possible tyranny, division, you know, an election season.
Right.
All really scary things. But that is where your opportunity and historically lies the most. So I feel, to bring this around full circle, I feel like I'm destined to be here through all of this education and being here in time. I feel like when I came across this technology, you know, XRP, these other financial tokens that I think will be the rails of this new payment system and understanding the financial world.
Right.
I cannot believe, like I'm sitting here, like I constantly like pinch myself. I'm watching BRICS. BRICS is going to have actually a meeting in Russia next week or the week after. Their main topic is going to be currency.
Wow.
Like watch BRICS. And so part of this, and I have theoretical, like if our currency, like we lose reserve currency, like this technology, theoretically, I think, I could be wrong, but I think we might not need a reserve currency of the world. And so one of my theories is through all of this, I think 2 financial systems might arise and we might have these mutual like bridge, you know, rails and treaties coming out of this conflict.
Right.
That's a possibility. We're talking about the BRICS financial system and we're talking about everyone else possibly. And then there's these treaties that, because it's a mutual bridge currency that we still like conduct trade and stuff with after all this goes down. Or World War goes down. We have a Bretton Woods, you know, 3.0. We have a new monetary system that everyone's real. So I'm kind of in like, I'm watching, I'm putting a pulse, you know, like keeping a pulse on geopolitical things, crypto things, economic. I'm watching Japan really closely right now because I talk a lot about currency.
Right. And I think what you're saying is smart to kind of jump in, because a lot of times people get so fixated on what it is that they're doing and don't realize that you need to really pay attention to everything that's going on globally, because it definitely affects every aspect of whether you're investing, you know, housing, taxes, inflation, whatever it is. You really have to pay attention to what's going on, even outside of your own country. And so I think that was brilliantly put.
Yes, you do. And it all, like, you think that all of these topics and these things are like siloed, right? They don't have anything to do with each other. Crypto doesn't have anything to do with currency. Currency doesn't have anything to do with crypto. Like this, like that's not what's happening.
Yeah.
So.
No, I think it's brilliant. And what I guess what I would ask at this point is, what is see, I had some questions here, and I had some people asking me to ask you some questions.
Okay.
If you guys have some questions for GramGlam, how about we just do it live? If you guys got a question that you want to ask Gram, I saw some stuff way up. I don't want to have to scroll up, but I think some people were asking about maybe XRP. Was there anything that XRP Las Vegas, was there anything that you learned that you didn't know prior to going to that event?
Anything that I learned? Besides for like individual like projects between like Uphold and like things that they have going on, not necessarily to me. XRP Las Vegas was like it was a coming around of a full circle kind of story for me. Like that's kind of like what I walked away with. Yeah.
Okay. Any questions for Gram? If you guys have any CCMM?
Yeah, ask me any question.
I think
I confuse people because people would come up to me and be like, "What do you do?"
Yeah, no, a lot of people see that you've done your due diligence. I've seen a lot of people make comments about what you're saying. Obviously, you know your stuff. You've done your research. Any questions for Graham that anyone has, we'll ask it live. Let's see. Can you guys talk about we're not, RLN asset? No, we're talking more about. I appreciate that, but let's see. Okay. So
let me bring it more around to XRP.
Let's do it. Yeah.
So XRP. To me, and once you know the history of Jekyll Island, once you know a lot of this stuff, I think we're at that point of history. Like, conspiracy theories really do come true. Our Federal Reserve was conspired on an island in 1910 called Jekyll Island.
Right.
I think we are in, and I don't know to what extent because I'm not in those circles, but we're in another like Jekyll Island scenario where the powers that be are determining our monetary future. And I guess my message is it's again like it's we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility for ourselves and our posterity. That is and I think we've lost that. And what I took away from XRP Las Vegas was there are a lot more people in a lot higher echelon than I am that are also onto the same message. And in my little small way, in my little small community, I'm going to do what I can to combat whatever it is that is coming down the pike, because let me tell you, there's some really hard times that are possibly coming down the pike.
I agree with that. Yeah.
But I want to be in a position that I'm able to not give in to the tyranny, that we're able to go, you know, we don't need your food limit, your CBDC, your digital ID to track what meat I'm growing, because I'm sovereign. I can grow my own meat.
Right.
You're not going to put a social credit score on me. That I know this is what this technology can do. So I think we're at this, like, in history, we're at this moment where if people aren't awake, then central banks, the powers that be, just like my farm animals, like, will feed you, give you everything that you need. But guess what? I'm going, like, my pigs are in my freezer right now.
Right.
They live a really good life up until then. If a government can give you everything, they can take everything. And so it's time for us to take back our sovereignty. It's time for us to take back our power. It's time for us to hold those who are in power accountable, because it is we, the people of the United States. It's us. It's us.
Yeah.
Gary Gensler, you gotta go.
That's like, for sure. Yeah. Did you see the comment that Trump had made about Gensler?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. All of a sudden, he's got a couple. He's got a couple videos.
Just won the election. I think he might have swayed the election.
Yeah. Instead of being like, what was the guy, Robert Kennedy, who was just trying so desperately to talk about Bitcoin, just, you know, Trump's in a position that he said a couple things, and you know, the fact that, you know, Gensler is being negative, they're holding innovation back, that he doesn't support the SEC driving American companies out of the country. So, you know, when you hear stuff like that and he's against that, there were some people in the audience that were asking, I don't think Gary's job is safe at all. I think when Trump gets in, it's probably going to be one of the things that either prior to or during, he's going to pay some attention to, for sure.
Bye, Gary.
Bye, Gary. Yeah, I agree with you.
Bye, SEC. Gary. Like, sorry. But like, there's a movement coming. Yeah. And ready or not, here we come. Yeah. Like, we're on to it. You're a scam. All of these 3-letter bureaus, this government overreaching, it has to stop.
I mean, we want regulatory clarity. We want to make sure that people are protected, but we also don't want to be you know, we don't want these agendas, and we don't want them stifling innovation and seeing our amazing, brilliant minds here in the United States fleeing because, you know, or companies like Ripple that had to continuously expand outside the U.S. You know, it's just time for us to embrace this evolution, and to make sure that people who want to embrace it, that are paying attention, are rewarded for doing so, and not that you create so much FUD and chaos that you're shaking good people out. And then, because what's going to happen is look, I I wouldn't be surprised. There's a lot of lawsuits. There's a lot of from people or whatever, just because people are going to be pissed off, like, hey, I knew what I had, or whatever the case may be. And that's why you just have to stay focused and keep and just know what you hold, and keep doing your research.
On that note, I am not a financial advisor. Do not take anything I say as financial advice.
Neither one of us. That's right. That's
Do
right.
your own research.
Always.
Like, be convinced of what you invest in, because you invested in it because of your research. You take full responsibility. I'm not. Yeah.
No, I agree with you. So, any final? We've got almost 800 people here, Graham. 800 people that are listening, locked into everything that you're saying. Again, I want to commend you on basically coming out of that shell and speaking, and it's been brilliant. I mean, from where I see you started in the beginning and where I see you now, it's been absolutely amazing. So I definitely want to commend you on that. And I can't wait for everyone to catch you tomorrow with. I know you're very excited. This crazy lineup which includes Maya. It includes World Be Free. It includes Optimistic Prime. We're talking Molly Elmore. We're talking Linda P. Jones. We're talking GramGlam. It will very well be the most epic show that we've done on this platform.
It's going to be fun.
By any gender.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely incredible. And so, So with that being said, any final thoughts, anything that you want to add to those who are listening, why you're excited? I know there's been some comments here. Bye Elizabeth Warren as well. That's funny. Yeah, John Deaton. Hopefully we'll get that done.
John Deaton. Yes, there's hope. There's hope, guys.
Hope.
You got to go. You do what you can. You might think it's small.
Yeah.
Like, to me, a big impact was giving eggs to a mom that was like hurting with inflation.
Yeah.
Like, you can do something. Like, find what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Find what you love, and then help people and bless people. That would probably be and be kind. God, be kind.
That's right. That's right. So, there's no reason to be anything else. And let me ask this, but before we get out of here, where do you see the rest of 2024 going as far as this market? There's just I'm just saying there's so much chaos. The SEC is handing out wellness notices like someone opening their door handing out trick or treat candy, or so they're just being stupid. So where do you see everything going in between now and the end of the year?
More money printing.
Oh.
More war. More like an escalation, unfortunately.
Wow.
Possible bank failures happening. Possible like size. So what crashes an economy? I'll leave with this, because I'm watching Japan closely right now. The yen is in peril. My question is, so what crashes a currency? So what crashes a currency is whenever people offload, whoever owns a country's debt starts to sell it on the supply-heavy side of the curve, supply and demand. So we have a bunch of bonds, not enough entities to buy them. So central banks start to print a bunch of money to buy their own bonds back. Now that started to happen. There was a 30-year auction, 30-year bond auction that happened this past fall. That wasn't very good, and we had to resort to that. Now with Japan and the yen, this might be the beginning of them selling their bonds. So we might be seeing a bunch of US debt and money come upon ourselves, and we might have to print even more money for then these wars and all of this, then to just buy back all of these bonds that are being offloaded onto the market. That is what crashes an economy. Jeez. Is whenever that starts. That is the beginning of the end. So I'm watching things closely. Unfortunately, I think we're going to progress more towards this shift that we are going through.
Yeah.
But my bet, I can only speak for me. I'm hedged. I'm ready. I'm like, this is my Super Bowl. Let's go. Everyone else, I feel really bad for you. Hopefully I have enough food for you. That type of thing. So that's what I'll end with.
Well, I appreciate it, sis. We definitely appreciate you. Thank you for being on the show. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for giving me a voice, Jay. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. So with all that being said, guys, my little sis, GramGlam, you guys want to catch her, you can catch her tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here at Crypto4Life. Is going to be absolutely amazing. One of the greatest lineups we've had by anyone will be tomorrow, guys. Make sure you guys tune in. Again, appreciate each and every one of you guys here. Just under 800 people. You guys have an amazing rest of your evening. Make sure you also check out, before we get out of here, GramGlam. You can catch her on her X page if you want to go check her out. It is at Unchained 68190. Again, at Unchained 68190. Gram, it's been an honor. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Okay, sis. We'll talk to you
See y'all
later.
tomorrow night.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.